Tinker time. Not home. Thanks to my boss, I'm at my friend George's house. That's George. Don't worry, you'll be seeing a lot of him. That man has a gift. He can use the F word like a comma. But that's not why we're here today. No, what we're here for is stage 5 of Project Attitude. Yeah, and let's just take a quick little walk. That, if you can see, is Betty. She's coming here to hang out with her littermate brother, who I gave to George, whose name is Winston, who's very grumpy right now. And there's that. And there's all of that. Yeah. Stick around and I'll show you what all the hell this is. Lord help us. Thank God we have a nice day today. Okay, so if it wasn't obvious, we have bumpers, a 7-ton winch, which that controller box is going to have to be relocated because if you see, I don't have a lot of height to play with. 6.5-ton winch, sorry. We got some lights to do. We've got some brackets to mount. We've also got a rebel grill, black headlights to do last. And George is over there figuring out the instructions. Oh yeah, for those of you on my Discord or gun channels, that's George. Now you finally see you put a face to the name. And this little grumpy ball of fur is Betty. She's a little upset. But her little brother's a little upset too, so we have to wait for him to calm down and then we're gonna let them play together. So, first things first, we took inventory of our parts, which is why everything's out of the box. I did check the battery cable links for the winch to make sure that they were gonna be long enough. They are. Got our 2 bumper brackets here. Still trying to figure out what these are. I think they're wing brackets for the corners. And then there's the meat and potatoes part. There's the winch part, the lights, and the corners. I've got the wiring harness at home because I'm an idiot. And that means we're gonna have to go back to my house. Shit. Yeah, I left the wiring at home. So we're gonna have to go get the wiring, but we'll burn that bridge later. First things first, we gotta take apart the front end. So let's go talk about that a bit, shall we? Flares came out good, didn't they? Look good, don't they? Even shaved off the Eco Diesel badges. So, first job we gotta tackle is this comes off. These little push pin Christmas tree connectors, they pop right off. Got a couple 10mm bolts along the top. I believe there's 4, and then this just pulls straight out. Then we take the headlights out, which is, I believe, a 10 here and a 10 here. And then there's a bracket that is underneath that little plate there. You push down on it and then the headlight wiggles straight out. Probably seen me do that before with the LED video. And then we have to take off this top cover, which involves bolt over here. And I think this one here. This one here and that one there. And then this top half comes off, and then we'll deal with the bumpers, which is 3 18mm on 2 brackets here and here, and I think the hooks also. So let me go ahead and start working on that. And we'll see you when we do face off.
1 hour later.
Face off. That was a chore. So let's go over some of the basics here. Christmas tree connectors for the plastic cowl that's behind the grill. 4 10mm bolts across the top for the grill. Here, 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 and here. And then the rest are snaps. The upper painted portion here, there was a 10mm on the inside you can get from the top through here, and another one on that side. And there were also 2 8s that were here on the very corner of the fender. I took the wheel well off on this side before I figured out how easy it was on the other side. Always work harder the first time, smarter the second time. So that's the grille off. That was the top half of the bumper cover. 2 10 mils were here and here for those little wing things. And then the bumper, there were 3 15 millimeter nuts from the inside. 18s, yeah, sorry. 18s here, here, and here. And they were captured bolts on the bumper. And then you have to disconnect your bulkhead connector, which was on the driver's side. One is for the parking sensors. One is for the light harness, I believe. That's the fog light harness here. These are the parking sensors. So eventually I'm gonna have to go in there and take all that out because I have to retain my parking sensors and my front license plate for the new bumper. When it came to the new bumper, my box was too tall for the winch inside the bumper, so I had to mount it on the top. And yes, if you can tell, I mounted it slightly crooked. Sue me. But I drilled 4 holes. They came out slightly kinked because I can't measure for crap. I was tired and stupid. Anyway, that's mounted. That's bolted in. I bolted the ground on the bottom. There's a stud down there. Before the winch went in, there were 4 square captured nuts. There was 2 bolts for the fair lead which went on. So we pre-assembled all of this. And then the next step, I believe, is the bumper brackets and the corners. So let me...
So why you know what the heck is
Yeah, we gotta figure out what the hell that shit is too, that's right. Because it's not even in the instructions, but I think they have something to do with the 3rd wing on each side. So we will meet you back once that's bolted on and the corners are bolted on, and then I'll give you my thoughts on what we had to do that. And we're starting to think that maybe we're not going to be able to get the back one on today because we feel like a bag of smashed assholes already, and the day's not even over yet. So we'll see you soon once we get all this situated.
The next day.
All right, it's the next day. This took 9 hours yesterday. Pretty beat up, sore, but I got it on there. So let's talk about what we learned along the way. First of all, there's a tiny gap on that side of the bumper, that way, but I have the bumper fully adjusted that way. So that's a thing. You can't really notice it from the front too badly, near as I can tell. It's not too terrible. Like, I could live with it. I bought the wrong connectors for these, so I still don't have the lights wired yet. I still don't have the harness plugged in for the fog lights yet either, because, well, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the parking sensors yet. Initially I was going to put them up here, but I don't know if I'm going to have proper reach because I can't really get here anymore. So I'm going to have to map where I can actually fit the sensors. And on top of that, the wiring is going to be too short, so I have to extend the harness. You can buy extension pieces, but they're $30 a piece, which is insane. Since I'm sort of an electrician, I could just split the harness, lengthen the wires, and heat shrink it and make it all nice. That's probably the way I'm going to go. Headlights went in without a fuss. I got the black buckets to match the black grille, which is a Rebel style grille, as you can tell. I haven't wired these lights yet either because these are going to be, I think, daisy chained off the parking light circuit. Not really thrilled about that type of wiring. Let's see if I can find a hot on the a 12-volt switched hot on the fuse box, maybe. So it'll act like a daytime running light, maybe. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. What else did we learn? This bumper is really heavy. We put a board on my 3-ton jack and lifted it, and then we had rockability, and then getting the bolts in the middle of the night last night that was fun. I'd say that was pretty fun. Some idiot took all the bolts out of the wheel flare and then forgot to not put them on top of the tire. So when I rolled the truck back, I ran them over. But thankfully, when I rolled it forward, they were all okay. Now the problem is fitment with the clippy-doos. I'm gonna have to emulate, or I'm gonna have to engineer a solution to this, because I don't like that. I don't like it being a little loose. I go to a automated car wash and the dryer is incredibly violent, and I don't want this thing getting ripped off in the process. But, I mean, the headlights work, the high beams work, the turn signals work. I'm gonna branch off the high beam. I made a harness for it, and it's gonna connect to these. So I'll have high beams here and then those 2 pod lights. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do here yet. I think it's gonna be on its own separate switch. I can reach the clutch on the winch, which is cool, but you might have noticed that I got holes down here and they're crooked because I'm an idiot. And the box wouldn't fit here because obviously it hit the grill. So my new problem, which I'll take you down here and show you. Here's my new problem. I just smashed my head into the skid plate for starters. That's gonna leave a welt. Okay, so here's my new problem. The winch is pretty close to the top. I'm gonna have a hard time reaching over there for the parking sensors, but now that I see it in this perspective, maybe I can get to them. That might not be so bad. I'll have to drill it from the front, obviously. And then I just clip the sensors in the back. The harness extension is gonna have to go around this mount. And then the second one will have to go down there somewhere. And the third one's gonna have to go way over here at the angled part. So I think I'll do 3 over there, 3 over there. Here's the controller box for the winch. And the wires coming off of it are a bit short because it's just a relay box to the motor. Ground is big, hot's big. So what I think I'm gonna have to do, and I don't like this idea, is I'm gonna drill a hole on the bottom here and over here. And I'll just use these mounts, run the screws up the bottom, and hang on. So anyway, this will be a little jiggly though. I'm not really comfortable with that. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make a better mount for this. And then since I got these, which are the mounts for the original hooks, I'm gonna buy a 36 by 12 inch piece of diamond plate and just run a plate all the way across the bottom here to protect this and to keep crap out from going up under here. So I'm gonna make myself a skid plate down here. That'll plate that off because I've got these mounts, I might as well use them. They're a little lower than I need them to be. Like they could have been up here and that would have been great, but if I do that, I could plate it all the way to here on the bumper. And then I just gotta run the hot and the ground up to the battery up there. And that should do it. Anyway, next is trying to figure out how the hell I'm gonna mount the back bumper, which is still in the bed of the truck. So anyway, sit tight and maybe I'll get around to that today too.
A few moments later.
Well, I guess we're doing the back today. The weather's nice, it's a little windy. Thoughts of back bumper removal. 2 15mm bolts here and here, and 2 here, 2 here, and the whole back bumper comes off. You don't have to worry about it falling on your chest because the trailer hitch stops it right there. So you have to lift it up and pull out. Unplugging the wiring. Your lights here unplug, or if you have the original ones, the peanut bulb unplugs. Your parking sensors are actually very easy to do. You want to take a really small flat tip on these and just push the top and the bottom and wiggle the sensor out. And then you want to pinch this on 4 corners, the grommet, pull that out from the front. This goes out the back, this goes out the front. Unfortunately, I don't have a reamer big enough to mount these today. So guess what? We're not doing rear parking sensors today either. Great. Plus I have to figure out how to wire that, because on the new bumper it uses these little LED peanuts. And these little LED peanuts are bare. Yay. I'll probably make a harness. I've got weatherproof connectors and I'll do it right. Alright, so the next step for me was these hooks. Actually, sorry, the next step for me was sorting out all the hardware. And then I started with these hooks. So I use these 8s, flat washer on the back, lock washer, and a nut on the back. I'm going to torque those down, and then we're going to take those corners, bolt those on this way, and then we're going to take these cover straps, here, and those are going to fit across the seam like the other one. And then we're going to bolt the whole thing on the truck and call it a day, because I haven't decided how I want to wire these yet, so I'm not. And I got to mount my license plate. This trailer connector was actually very easy. I'll show you on the back. As soon as I can get Mother Nature to stop blowing wind everywhere. This clip here and this clip here on the back of your bumper, you just squeeze and wiggle outward, and this whole thing comes off no problem. Once you get that out, you can wiggle the connector off too. So in terms of total job, this rear, honestly, just for time consuming, 3 Samuel out at the most. This bumper's light enough to where I don't need the jack either. I'll just lift it into place, and then it'll sit on the trailer hitch here. I can line up the bolts, bolt that all down, and call it a day. So I don't have a lot to cover for this, because I want to get this shit over with, because my dad and I want to go drink beer and eat chicken fried steak today before midnight. So that's what I got for you now. I'll show you a still shot of it finished, and then I'll conclude my thoughts.
3 hours later.
There it is, all finished. This job took 3 hours, start to finish. Way easier than the front bumper. And the really nice part about this one is it has the cutouts for my tailpipes. Oh, meet my new big brown dog. Hi, big brown dog. He's been wandering around. He likes butt rubbings. Now he won't go away. Anyway, this job here, if you finagle the sensors out, which I still have to drill the holes for later, they very conveniently put these little knockouts in here. I just gotta frame them bigger. So I'll put one here, one here, one here, one over here, and that'll be the back. Front ones are gonna be a little more complicated. I gotta lengthen the wiring harness on both. I gotta make adapters for those license plate lights because they're different than the originals. That's gonna be fun. So all that's tied off right now, but I gotta take my mother shopping because she can't drive. So that right there, I'd say honestly, start to finish, 2 Samuel L. Coming to the front, as we talked about before, this job here, which I'm gonna have to touch that up, aren't I? Yep. Okay, no big deal. That job right there with the winch and the brackets and the wheel wells, the lights, the grille, I ain't gonna lie, that is a 5 Samuel L job. First on the channel. That is a yeah, that's what that is. So this is not for the faint of heart. You have to have all the tools. You better have all the tools, because you don't want to make 10 million runs to the hardware store. Anyway, project attitude, stage 5. Still got to plug in the winch after I told you about the plans I've got to do the plate. Anyway, I want to take the time to thank you all for watching. If you like what you see, hit the old like button. Maybe share it with a friend. Maybe subscribe. I know I didn't time-lapse the how-to very much this time. I just had to get it done. I tried my best to explain it, but this is it. This is how it's done. And I think honestly, now that I'm all equally blacked out, front, middle, and rear, or sorry, rear, middle, front, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, it turned out pretty good. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're regular here, welcome back. Either way, check out my other playlist, see if my other interests are of interest to you. Stage 5. What's next? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm gonna have to finish what I started with wiring and lights. So that'll probably be next. But this little series is probably gonna be a little bit on hiatus because, well, I want to enjoy it, first of all. And second of all, I don't know what else to do. So if you have suggestions, aside from sell your truck, leave it in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
One eternity later.
Okay, we are fast forwarding several months since I've installed these bumpers. And the reason I hadn't put out the video for these bumpers is because I still have to do electrical work, which I thought I was gonna do pretty quickly. That didn't happen. It took months. Bad weather, good weather, life got in the way. Any excuse. Anyway, what we're gonna do today is we're going to wire up these. And I think we're gonna wire up these two. What I had decided to do was these are gonna be obviously daisy chained into my park light. And I'm going to show you a harness that I had put together, or that I'm going to put together, because I'm not the type of person who uses those little guillotine scotch locks or whatever they're called. I used to use them all the time, but it seems like they get nothing but hate by most people. So I'm gonna do it with an actual harness that I'm gonna build. These lights here are going to be wired to the factory fog light harness, which is on my old bumper still, which will probably make another delay for electrical stuff for this truck's project. And then that's the pigtail I made for it, so it matches the original harness. And these, I decided I'm gonna wire into the high beam headlight circuit. So they will only come on with the high beams. And then I'll have to wire this to its own switch and relay. But these and these are gonna be bespoke to switches already in the truck, as are these. And I saw something on the internet, and I'm gonna try it with that grille, and then you'll see once I get it done. Anyway, to start, let's take out the 10mm bolts. There's 4. Coarse ones are on the outside, the fine ones are on the inside. And if you want to keep track of them, Ram provides. So take this outside one, put it in this outside hole here, and then I take this inside one and I put it here, outside, inside. Same thing on here, outside, inside. That's how I do it every time I take the grill off, so it's like, that way you don't lose them. Or you could thread them back in the holes if you want, but since I've been doing this out of habit, I always remember to check it before I put the truck back together. And obviously you have to take off that splash guard with the proper tool. So anyway, let me get this apart, and I'll go grab the wiring harness for this, and I'll meet you back in a minute.
15 minutes later.
I don't know how well this shows up on camera, but to quote Zip Ties and Bias Plies, how much humidity do I have in Texas today? All of it. All of it. It's a haze. Makes your skin all wet just being out here. So anyway, I'm gonna show you my childhood indulgence. Yeah. I'm gonna have to work on the spacing a little bit. I gotta slide the R over to the left a little bit, but yeah, you can do that. Basically, you just have to grind off a couple of bosses that aren't even used that center it. But I'm gonna move that over a little bit, and then we'll get to the wiring.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Okay, so this is what I've decided to do. This is the harness that goes for these little 3 lights, and there's obviously a hot and a ground. So that's gonna go to my parking lights. So instead of making a bunch of little like Scotch clip type things, I'm gonna make a harness. So I'm gonna use the male end here that plugs into the original factory female connector. And then I'm gonna have a split like this. And obviously the colors are different, right? So I need to figure out which one of these is my parking light and which one's my turn signal before I branch all these together, because they're obviously different colors. Now I'm sure there's a position thing that you can probably look at and figure it out, but I'm just gonna be for sure. So what I'll do is I went ahead and soldered these together with these little clips here, or joint connectors, and then that little heat gun there. If you don't have that, you can twist it off, or you can solder it by hand and use heat shrink or whatever. It's just these are game changing. So like these are probably the better way to go. I'll leave you a link to this kit, which actually comes with that heat gun. I think it was like 20 bucks. So I already got the ground, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unsheath one of these and then tie it to one of these, and then plug a bulb in and see which one's the parking light. And then I will take this and mark the opposite wire, which is obviously the turn signal. And for this end, this will get all 3 wires going to the bulb. And then this one, I'm only going to wire the 2 wires, so then I can use another male end like this with only 2 wires to make the pigtail for this original harness for those lights. So it may seem a bit overcomplicated, but I want this to all be modular and to be able to unplug it all. So it's a little extra steps. Yeah, it's like 20 bucks worth of stuff, but this way I can unplug things on the go. I have an excessive length of cable, so I don't have to worry about routing, and I just end up with 2 turn signal sockets, one with 2 wires, one with 3 wires. And since one will always be plugged into those, I'll never make the mistake of which one to unplug, because I'll see that these pigtails go to different directions. So let me go ahead and make this harness after I figure out the wiring, and then I'll show you it in action. That reminds me, I gotta go get the bulbs. All right, so before I put it all together, the white wire in my harness was the parking light. So I made the harness, connected it here. I used to have switchback lights here, but it keeps throwing a code because it shuts off the parking light. So I went back to traditional amber, especially since I have amber cargo lights now. So anyway, the reason I haven't put this all together yet is because I did wire that too. So I gotta see if that works also. I'll just take a still shot for that if it actually works. And then I gotta do the thing on the other side too.
3 hours later.
Okay, so we're all back together, no extra pieces. Cargo lights, high beams hooked up down there, high beams on there, high beams on there. So that's hooked up to that switch. The flickering is because they're LED and the camera's actually catching the pulse. They're solid when I look at it straight on. This wiring job actually took me 3 hours. I thought it was going to be a lot quicker. Passenger side was easier because I didn't have to make the tie-in pigtail for the cargo lights, so that was quicker. But yeah, it took 3 hours. Anyway, for this segment, I'm done. So probably in about a week's time, I'll show you the fog light wiring and the park sensors. Yeah, this video took months to put together, but everything's working, so that's good. Anyway, I'll see you in about a week.
Later.
All right, we're fast forwarded several months, and it's my fault because I got lazy. But the problem I ran into, which was my parking sensors, right? Those little silver guys there on the bumper. I installed the ones in the back, and I sort of forgot to do the front ones for a long time because my front bumper was at my friend's house. We're gonna do that today and finish this project once and for all. I was going to do a video on that wiring harness over there. Turns out I don't need it, so it's probably gonna go back. Thankfully, because my original one worked. Maybe I'll just keep it as a spare, whatever. Either way, When I got to this bumper here, I had to extend the wires. I think I did do a video or something on it before, but I will leave a link in the description about extension harnesses, which is what that has. And yeah, I got another one up there because there's 4 sensors in the back and there's 6 sensors in the front. And I know you guys haven't seen the front officially on the video. So there's the front. And what we're gonna do today is wire up 6 parking sensors. And it's gonna be kind of tough because there are plates here at the seams that go all the way to the back. So the extensions are probably gonna become a major factor in here. So it's a good thing I have 8 of them. My handmade extensions in the back worked, which is great. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna install one in the corner and then maybe one about here. And I don't know yet. The winch is here, so I can't really do it there. But I'm gonna try to draw, get all this lined up where maybe one here, and then like maybe one up here, and then like one in the corner here. Something like that, because I got 6 of them, so I gotta do 2 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 2 there, I think. See, the problem is I get nervous when I park this thing because this all sticks out. And I kind of want to put a sensor in the front, right up front, but I don't have room for it. And the hooks will be in the way and all sorts of stuff. So I got to be really cautious with that. It looks like someone tried to steal my hook, bastards. I'm gonna have to put some locking pins on this thing or something. Either that or maybe just shook loose over time, I don't know. So anyway, before I get started in this process here, I did finish the truck, I think 3 or 4 months ago when it came to all the Project Attitude parts. I've been running the 2-inch hub-centric wheel spacers ever since. I've had 0 problems with it. It's been nice. I got no vibrations, no nothing, because hub-centric is why you need to be careful when you space out your wheels. Anyway, this is the old bumper here, this one. And I've already gotten started pulling the harness out. This is the front parking sensor harness, so I got to pull this out. What I ended up doing was just cutting the little Christmas trees that poke up here that hold it in place, and then there's 2 little metal horseshoe clips, one on each side here and here, which I might be able to reuse. And then just, you know, feed it from that side through all the way back out to here, and just pull it the rest of the way out. So I gotta grab this, and I also have to grab the factory fog light harness, which I believe is this one here. Real simple thing, one to there, right? And then the other one just runs the full length all the way to this one. And I already wired up the new bumper lights, the new bumper lights over there with the female ends of these connectors. So it should be a plug and play operation. So anyway, let me pull the rest of all this wiring out, and then I'll explain how I intend to line up all the sensors, I'll just scribe a line all the way across the bumper and then put little pluses where I want to actually drop them. And then we get out the 18-volt Makita and the taper step bit like we did with the back, and we'll move the sensors over to the new bumper. It should be fun. I had other plans today, but you know, the best laid plans often go awry, right? All right, we'll see you in a bit.
12 seconds later.
Okay, so I had to start on the driver's side because the connectors are on the driver's side underneath the body. And it's a good thing I've got all those extensions because some of them are, I believe, 12-inch and some are 24-inch. But obviously the problem I'm gonna run into is reach here, that's gonna be 1. And then I think 2 is gonna be about here. So I don't have to extend that, which is nice. But then I get over here, when this moves over this way, right? I'm gonna have to use a short extension here to drop it. I'd like to do it about here, if I can reach it. If I can reach that, that would be great. So I'm gonna need to extend this with the short one because this is gonna be over that way a little bit more. So we'll go to there. And then the next sensor across the middle, the connector for it, it drops way over here. See? So I'm gonna have to use the long extension. Maybe 2 of them, double them up over to here. Yeah. Either that or maybe I'll just cut this harness. I don't know. I'll see if I have enough extensions. If I do, then it's gonna be 2 for that one, 2 for that one, 2 for that one. And I'll try to mimic here and here and here. Yeah. And then obviously not gonna be in a straight line because the bumper goes up at an angle here, which that doesn't really matter. I just have to make sure I drop them straight down at the same distance all the way across. So that's my next chore. I'm gonna move the truck into the shade a little bit more because I was actually gonna work on the back today, but the back turned out fine. So I'm gonna do the front today. And then I should have all my stuff working again. But that's just a kind of a layout idea because the connectors for these are right over here under this wheel well here. So I believe this is the fog light one. This is my parking sensor one. And then I'll have to wire it all up. And then one of these days, I'll do another video of me wiring the winch because I still haven't wired the power to the winch. Reason being is I bought this isolator switch, which I really like. It's very heavy. And I had this crazy idea of mounting it right here in the door pocket, but then I would have to run a power wire through all of this into here, and then another one that goes back out over there. But that'd be pretty trick, having it right there in the cup holder, which means I don't even have to get out of the truck to run power to the winch. That's an idea I'm playing with. I can probably mount it up against that door panel like that, and then maybe fixate it down here. Oh, and that's just foam, ain't it? I don't know. That was just an idea I was playing with. Otherwise, it's gonna go under the car. I can't go under the hood because there's no damn room under there. Anyway, back to work. Let me get in the shade.
One week later.
Okay, so unfortunately another week has gone by because I burned through a bunch of these. Let me show you. I burned through a bunch of taper bits here and all these. And the reason I did that was because apparently this front bumper from the same manufacturer is much harder than the back bumper. I think this is made out of the HMS Bismarck. I think the back one was made out of something else. Anyway, what I ended up having to do was stop what I was doing for the weekend, wait a week, and I bought a porting tool, a porting bit. I don't know if that's gonna show up too well. There, porting bit. And then I just hogged it out by hand. And then I took the grommet and I just dry fitted them until they went in almost all the way. And then you just bump them with the palm of your hand past that tab and you're good to go. So the hole saw cut that one fine. It got close there. And then progressively they got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So I've been spending the last half an hour this morning and all the holes are ported now to the right size. As you're about to see, they fit nice and easy. Just push them in. Got 6 of these and I've got to put the sensors back into them. I'm gonna make all the sensors point down so the connectors are easier to get to. Actually, no. I'm gonna have them point down here on the ends and the corners, and then these will be facing probably sideways so I can feed the connectors in easier. So that's what I'm gonna be doing next. I'll give you a still shot of that, and then we'll talk about the wiring, which is up there, how many extensions I needed for this particular bumper. I have 8, so we should be good there. And after I had made the holes, I sprayed the exposed edges with truck bed liner material, and I even touched up the Allen bolts on my bumper because they started to get flash rust on them. Not even a year old. Whatever. But I touched those up. For some reason that bars are silver, but the lights, the parking sensors will be done. The fog lights obviously work. The high beams are hooked up to those down there. And when this is all said and done, the only lights left I have to do is this one. And I'm putting 2 on the hood on the cowls over there. But I've got to, that's another project for another day. I've got pretty much everything I need to do it. It's just, I'm in a hurry today. Wanted to get this out because that would finish, quote, Project Attitude for this stage here with the bumpers. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and get all these in. I'll give you a still shot of them in. Yes, the original bumper was chrome, so that's why these are silver. But if you go to the back, I'm actually quite happy with the contrast. So I'm okay with this. Like, I like the contrast of the silver coming out of the black. So I kept all the original sensors and grommets silver. I think that looks pretty good. Leave a comment if you think they should be black, but I think they look okay. So anyway, let me get to work. I'll give you a still shot of the sensors in, and then I'll conclude after I get the wiring going, and I'll show you how they actually function. See you in a bit. Okay, so this is where the proof is in the pudding. We are inside in that still shot. I had to show you that I had to extend the original wiring harness like I did the back because the extension cables I bought from Amazon were the wrong ones. But if you notice, parking sensor lights are now off. And if I put this in gear, that's the front one. And I got the back ones too. And the camera. So, I would call that a success. Over there is my other car and my dad, which is why the sensor's showing up. But now we have working parking sensors. And if I turn the headlights on, I also have working fog lights. Right there. And then if I go over here and I turn the high beams on, I have working high beams there and down there. So the only thing left I've got to wire now is that one. And I've got a couple of mounts that go here, and I'll have cowl lights here and over there. And I think I'll be done with forward lighting. So anyway, thankfully, mercifully, this is the end of Pwnery Tinker's Project Attitude. I don't even remember what stage we're on. 5, 6? I'll leave a note somewhere down there. But if you like what you saw, hit the old like button. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular here, welcome back. Either way, check out all my other playlists and see if my interests might be of interest to you. Had the weather cooperated and had I had the free time, I could have done all of this in a couple of days, but life got in the way, so it took a couple of months. I started this project with the bumpers, I want to say back in like February, March, and now here it is, August. Sometimes life gets in the way, but it's done, and everything works the way it's supposed to now. Now I can finally go on to other things, like wiring that winch still, wiring that front light, wiring the cowl lights, wiring a switch panel that goes right here to control all of it, which I already have. And then, when that check engine light comes back on, I'm gonna get to figure out a 3-way heater valve, because it popped up a couple days ago. It comes and goes, so we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll see you later.
The boy does have good hands.
Good hand. Bad taste in car.
Mother